Hello, it's Rick Miracle here again with another video. Freemasonry and Satanism series number 60, part 2. A continuation of Earth, Pleiadian Keys to the Living Library by Barbara Marcinek, if I'm saying it correctly. And I gotta tell you, it gets weirder and stranger. More questions, fewer answers. But we'll take a stab at it and see if we can figure it out. On my website, by the way, rickmiracle.com, I have a link that you can click of all the books that I read, and you'll find these books. Bringers of the Dawn. I read this one a long time ago. Barbara Marcinek. And Step Forward as a member of the Family of Light. Have the courage in all the days you walk this planet to live that light and to share that light with all you encounter. Sounds good, doesn't it? And Earth, the Pleiadian Keys to the Living Library. Awaken, dear friends. I'm just reading a little bit of what they have on the back of these books. Within this dream, and realize that it is your duty and responsibility as human beings to imagine and visualize a safe world. It will be as you decree, and your own experience will thus reflect it. And it says here, embraced worldwide as key spiritual teachers of our times. I should repeat that. Embraced worldwide as key spiritual teachers of our times. The Pleiadians are back with another bold and controversial look at our highest purpose on earth. So the Pleiadians, via channeling, going into a trance and speaking to a spiritual being, or beings, or aliens, we don't know. But we do know, in the Bible, it says to test the spirits. And if you go look at a lot of these people, so-called in the know, the Zetas, and other alien contactees, they do it through channeling, spiritual connections. There are a few cases of abductions, and apparently people brought aboard spacecraft, like Billy Myers. Anyways, so Bringers of the Dawn and Earth, the Pleiadian Keys to the Living Library. On my website, rickmiracle.com, there is a link where you can click of books that I've read, and you'll find a photo of these books, and you click that and it takes you to the Pleiadian page. That's my point, where I have put a few videos and comments. And the bottom line is, it seems to me, from my research and my study, which should be quite fascinating when I continue with this book in this video, but when they talk about the shakas and a lot of other things, it crossed my mind that these Pleiadians look like little angels in this picture. Look at that. Spiritual being, angels. Are they cast out from heaven angels? Are they good angels, bad angels, demons, imposters? Got to keep a critical mind on this subject, because they try to look real beautiful. Wasn't Lucifer supposed to be the most beautiful angel in heaven? And it was his own beauty that caused him to be so vain. More Pleiadian pictures. If you go look up Pleiadians images on Yahoo. Here's Billy Myers. We looked at these in the last video, so I won't go through it thoroughly. and as the so-called alien craft that came to visit him. And here is the alien lady who took him for a ride on the craft. So that's the story. You say, Rick, what does this have to do with Freemasonry and Satanism? Which I've said all along should be called Freemasonry, Illuminati, Zionism, Kabbalah, witchcraft, so many more names. The secret information in the vaults of the Vatican, magicians that worked for the king and queens and high people in Europe, the Inquisition, the Bible. And then they said that they, when these alien biblical forefathers came to earth, they found the women fair in the Bible and mated with the women, corrupted the planet, hence causing the great worldwide flood, to eliminate the pollution or the corrupting of the human race. Apparently God, in his own wisdom, knew that the only way to fix the human race was to start over again. But is it being corrupted today? Is that the true story? And the creatures, apparently, according to Zachariah Stitchens and others, that came to earth back then were the Anunnaki. There's the tree of life there. And we keep circling around the Kabbalah, Rosicrucians, the New Age, and the Egyptian hieroglyphics with creatures that look like this, with fish heads, dragon heads, wings, the Anunnaki. And apparently with the advent of the age of Aquarius, which is upon us now, leaving the age of Pisces, where Jesus Christ came 2,000 years ago and died on the cross for people's sins so they could enter heaven. Was that a warning 2,000 years, giving everybody an opportunity to know that? What's coming with the age of Aquarius? Anyway, some of the Anunnaki images on that site, some of the images you'll find on the ancient Egyptian and other monuments. Look at that alien-looking creature there. All over the world. Some guys in South America, I guess they said they found this skeleton. And a lot of people know about the skeletons with the long heads. And the ancient mummy discovered in Egypt. Again, we say, what's this got to do with Freemasonry and Satanism? Well, apparently a lot of the aliens were represented as serpents. We all know the serpents in the Bible. And we know the Freemasons, Illuminati, and all the other cultic group, Rosicrucians, Zionism, Kabbalah, all seem to be discussing Isis, Horus, Osiris, the Dog star, Sirius star system, Pleiadian star system, the Hades star system. That's the foundation of all the Kabbalistic, occultic, and even witchcraft. So in witchcraft, when they sacrifice children, as well as the strange goings-on in the Freemasonic lodges where they, I guess, get naked and ride a goat and maybe have sex with the goat, and the Bohemian Grove in California where they toss a baby into the god Moloch, burning fire in his belly. So Freemasonry and Satanism certainly seems to be an apropos title to this series. So if you go look up this stuff, here's the Anunnaki pictures. Seems like Zachariah Stitchins and others have deciphered a lot of this stuff. And you can see star systems and different pentagrams and different symbols in these pictures. Tree of Life. And even the Pleiadians mention the Anunnaki. And I've been watching David Flynn videos on YouTube lately, connecting all the dots. See all the Tree of Life and the craft that it seems like they're flying, and stars and moons. So what is it? What are we trying to discover? I'm trying to discover the truth. And here we have Bane Q is depicted as a bird with a human head. And Erich Van Donovich, in the Gold of the Gods book we reviewed, we can't forget that down in South America, he found this one fascinating magnetic stone in Ecuador, has a mysterious glowing eye. Notice it looks like the pyramid on the dollar bill with the eye on top, and that star system would have been on the bottom of the stone. But for this picture, they put it on the face. So that star system and those symbols from whatever alien creatures they were on that stone. So we're tying again the Freemasons, George Washington and everybody else that was involved, put the, later on, I think it was Benjamin Franklin or some other people. I do have a book on the subject, but put the pyramid, all-seeing eye on the dollar bill. And they were into the occultic, the Kabbalah, the Freemasonic secret goings-on in the lodges. Beings descended from the sky in flying vessels. So what's this got to do with Pleiadians and Barbara Manisek discussing the Earth and the Pleiadian Keys to the Living Library? Ancient cave in the Bonzu Mountains. Makes you wonder who made the cave into that mountain. The stones at Baalbek, Lebanon, that you probably couldn't make those stones today for those temples. The cathedral's floor is inlaid with a labyrinth. If you know how to use any psychic research or the pendulum and sacred lines, some research that I have done, you know that the labyrinths are very important in that. The design on the floor there. So there we have it. We got an introduction here with the Pleiadians, the Anunnaki, and Barbara's 2 books, and my website, rickmiracle.com, which you can go to the Books I've Read page and click on the Barbara's books, and it'll take you to the Pleiadian page. But I thought before I start researching more material in Barbara's book, I would go over some other books I have to try to show a pattern here of what we're up against as far as mind control propaganda. They seem to be coming across a common theme everywhere I go. I haven't read all these books, but I thought that's just a small sample of my library. Books I've collected over the years. Dr. Bruce Goldberg, Astral Voyages, Mastering the Art of Interdimensional Travel. Can you believe it? Interdimensional travel. Free yourself from the limitations of the earth plane and the laws of space and time with the help of Astral Voyages. This book. The most comprehensive astral travel book on the market. So these will be books I do in the future after I read them. If I've read them already, when I read them again. And then you got Zbigniew Brzezinski, I can't say his name, but a lot of people are familiar with this book. The Grand Chessboard. And the reason I mentioned this book, I'm reading the backs of these, by the way, when I give you my little short synopsis, it's right off the book. Hence why I do book reviews. I'm trying to stick to the facts of these authors who are well known, so that maybe you can formulate your own opinion about what's going on. As the 20th century draws to a close, the United States has emerged as the world's only superpower. No other nation possesses comparable military and economic power or has interests that bestride the globe. Yet the critical question facing America remains unanswered. What should be the nation's global strategy for maintaining its exceptional position in the world? The grand chessboard. Well, I'll tell you what's going on. And as we all know, propaganda going on across the USA and the world. And they telling us, the people, the citizens of the USA, that we're broke and in debt, we can't pay the bills, and they're going to crash the dollar and try to go to a one world currency and a one world new age religion. And people will have to be microchipped, as said on a video I watched with Fox News recently, that by 2017, he's the author or speaker, narrator of that video. You can look it up. Fox News says USA citizens to be microchipped by 2017. It seems like they're fooling us people, deceiving us people of the USA, and they're planning on crashing the economically, or they're saying asteroids or pole shifting or incoming planetary body, global warming, terrorism, World War III, just plagues. It's endless. Well, meanwhile, they're sky spraying us and having HARP systems turned on. I took some pictures here today in North Carolina in the mountains of the ripples in the powder being sprayed in the sky. So they are microwaving us and putting chemicals in the sky, seemingly altering the weather. Several fronts have come through the area here, yet it has yet to rain. And a lot of people I talk to are saying, we're in trouble, we need rain. So are they trying to bring down the U.S. while they say we're the masters of the planet right now with all the power? And they're saying that now in the news that China and Russia have surpassed us. Lies. Then you got another book here, Peel Back One Evil and Find Another, The Mask of the Illuminati. Robert Anton Wilson, co-author of the Illuminist Trilogy. Timescape. So, again, we get back to my subject, Freemasonry and Satanism, which should be called Freemasonry, Satanism, Illuminati, Zionism, Kabbalah, Rosicrucian, and many other names they go by, with the all-seeing eye and the dollar bill. The back of this book. What began as a simple scholarly pursuit ended in a waking nightmare. That's what it says. Sir John Babcock, endowed with wealth and a healthy dose of curiosity, has stumbled onto an ancient order. With what he now knows, there will be no turning back, even if he wants to, not after he is trained as an initiate and knows of their perverted lust, says it on this book, and their murders, not even when growing terror sends him trembling through Europe, trying to stop the unstoppable. And this is all relevant to the Pleiadian book. We're talking about the same thing. The coming insurrection. It's useless to wait for a breakthrough, for the revolution, the nuclear apocalypse, or a social movement. To go on waiting is madness. The catastrophe is not coming, it is here. Look at this. The coming insurrection. We are already situated within the collapse of a civilization. It is within this reality that we must choose sides. That's what this author writes. We must choose sides. So what sides are we supposed to choose in the coming insurrection? I know the answer. It's rhetorical. But obviously it's the Luciferian one-world religion, or Jesus' promise that if you believe in Jesus, you will escape all this and live forever and go to heaven for believing in Jesus. Handbook to a Higher Consciousness. And I'm not saying all these books are evil or bad, but they are all steering us in one direction. This book opened my heart to love. It came into my life at a time when I needed it desperately, and it brought a message that reached me deeply. So when we read these Pleiadian books and all these New Age books, this is what it says. Love, love, love. But we know that Lucifer is the grand deceiver. The grand chessboard is being played on this planet. Higher consciousness. Love, love, love. Promises, promises. The Message of the Sphinx. I read this book a long time ago. I'd probably like to read it again and probably see a new perspective of the Sphinx and the pyramids in there in Egypt that are all part of the foundation for the Masonic, Freemasons, Illuminati, Kabbalah, occultic, Rosicrucian, witchcraft, all that's Zionism, all goings on in the Middle East. You're starting to see a pattern here. Guardians of the ancient mysteries, the keeper of the secrets. For thousands of years, the great Sphinx of Egypt has gazed towards the east. That's where they're looking on the horizon for the star systems in the morning when the sun rises and you see Orion's belt, or you see Leo, or you see the Aquarius star system, the Scorpio. As the ages go by and the precession of the equinox tells the celestial clock of time for about 26,000 years, going through the 12 different astrological signs. A New View Over Atlantis, John Mitchell. I haven't read this book, but again, Atlantis figures predominantly in all this stuff. It says here, across much of the Earth's surface are prehistoric sites, ancient earthworks, and stone monuments built for hitherto unknown purposes, and whose shared features suggest that they were originally part of a worldwide system. So this promises to be an interesting book. Things like Stonehenge is in here. So again, if you pay attention, you start just look at the wings on this totem pole and the snake. Page 63. A winged stone column standing on the line of a Chinese spirit path. So we keep seeing the wings, we keep seeing the snake. And there you have it. Sacred sites in China. Just trying to make a point here. Astrology, the Space Age Science. I read this book. We should go over it. You can see all my tabs. Fascinating book. What this author talks about, in one case, is if two people are born in the same hospital at the same hour, at the same minute, and if you look at their life 20 years later, they will have lived almost identical lives. Both received jobs, maybe in the school system. Both of them married a man named John. Both of them had 2 kids. It's an amazing thing about the coincidences of astrological signs. The cosmic serpent, there we go again. DNA. Jeremy Narby's pioneering work takes the frontier of science another leap forward towards understanding the primary enigma of our time, the role of consciousness. See, there it is again. We've been talking about consciousness in the evolutionary patterns of the universe. the snake, the DNA, the cloning, the wanting to take DNA samples from people now if they even arrest them on a misdemeanor. Even road stop checks now to try to get people's DNA. What's going on? The Rosicrucian Enlightenment again. Consciousness. It's right here in the books, the names of the titles. Rosicrucianism is a phrase in European culture immediately between the Renaissance and the Scientific Revolution. In the history of thought, it represents a stage in which the Hermetic Kabbalistic tradition received the influx from another Hermetic tradition, that of alchemy, mixing different kinds of chemicals and metals to make different kinds of magical potions or things. So when I say Rosicrucians, Freemasonry, Illuminati, Kabbalah, witchcraft, it's right in the books. It says it. The Seeker's Handbook, the complete guide to spiritual pathfinding. This is all part of the New Age books. From shamanism, there we go again, to Sufism, from Gnosticism to Jerdov, the Seeker's Handbook is an invaluable reference to anyone seeking enlightenment. Illumination, the Illuminati, the Freemasonics get initiated so they are illumined. Get it? Got it? I'm having fun with these videos. Because I'm learning as I do these videos, by the way. Like a journey within your journey, it is an intellectual odyssey along the path of spiritual wisdom and fulfillment. Meanwhile, the murdering in mass Arabs in the Middle East, starting a war in the Ukraine, killing Ukrainians, setting the USA up for a big fall, we've gone over this. This is what? April 4th, 2015. I'm in North Carolina, in the mountains. And in the news recently, they're doing training exercises with our military troops all over the USA, seemingly preparing for martial law. What's that got to do with all this? And they're talking about enlightenment and love. Somebody's deceiving somebody. The government's buying bullets and guns. The president wants to do executive orders to have the guns removed from the people. Why the frantic attempt to remove the guns from the people? And the grand chessboard's going on. And then, of course, we have another book that I did go over, and I will go over again and again and again. I've read this book, and it's fascinating. The Rosicrucian Philosophy, Questions and Answers. Let's see if I can find a little thing here. The vital body of a medium may be used by any number of spirits during a seance. That's what it says here. So now we're talking about seances with the Rosicrucians. Get it? Got it? The vital body of a medium. A medium is the person who gets in a trance and the spirits speak through the medium. Like what we're talking about with Barbara Marcinek, I want to say her name right, and Earth, the Pleiadian Keys to the Living Library, and the Bringers of the Dawn, that says, step forward as a member of the family of light. That's what they're telling people to do, teaching the New Age. So Barbara gets her material through channeling, and in this Rosicrucian book, that's falling apart, says here on page 305, the vital body of a medium may be used by any number of spirits during a seance. Huh. Spirits, would that be dead people? Maybe there are some spirits that never lived as a human. Maybe they're the Pleiadians. Each one clothing itself in a plastic substance and filling out with atoms from the surrounding atmosphere. Is that how they make these UFO aircraft manifest, appear, and then disappear? each spirit clothing itself in a plastic substance and filling out with atoms from the surrounding atmosphere, each borrowing from the sitters who very often feel much exhausted upon leaving a seance room. Sorry about my not fluid flow of reading there, but you got the idea. The spirit, when it appeared, when the medium was in a trance, would take from the surrounding atmosphere atoms, and from the people sitting there, something from them, so that it could manifestate itself as visible from invisible. And then after the seance, many of the attendees, I'm adding some words here, exhausted upon leaving the seance room. Some of the material or energy was drained from their bodies. During accidents by drowning or asphyxiation, the person feels very calm and restful after the first struggle, though he realizes his peril is in a measure. The vital body is extracted before the silver cord has parted. So all of us, supposedly according to Rosicrucian and other occultic New Age material, we all have a silver cord on the top of our head that connects us to the center of intelligence or God-like entity, higher consciousness, the Akashic records or whatever, that apparently Edgar Cayce said he went to get all the information that he got while he was in a trance helping people. What, more than 17,000 documented cases with Edgar Cayce? But anyways, they say you have a silver cord, and of course the body is supposed to have 7 shakas, energy vortexes in your body, 1 at your tailbone. And remember this when we talk about the Pleiadian book material I'm about to go over, because it's very relevant. So the bottom shaka, the red one, is near your tailbone. The second one would be orange, which is near your genitals. And the next color would be yellow, which is your stomach, that's shaka number 3. And then after yellow would be green, which is your heart. And that's 4. 5 would be blue here. 6 would be purple, your pineal gland, your third eye that you're supposed to see with consciousness if you leave your body. And then white or gold is number 7, and then above your head a little bit is number 8. Above the, outside the atmosphere of Earth is number 9. Outside the atmosphere of the solar system is number 10, supposedly. Further out on the galaxy is number 11. And in the center of the universe is number 12, connecting you with the center of consciousness, according to the occultic material. Reading this stuff for 10 plus years, I'm starting to pick it up. So anyways, during accidents by drowning or asphyxiation, the person struggles, Rosicrucian book here, a person feels very calm after drowning or asphyxiation, suffocating. Feels very calm and restful after the first struggle. So say you're drowning and all of a sudden you're struggling and you realize you're going to go. You become very calm and restful after the first struggle. Though he realizes his peril is in a measure, the vital body is extracted before the silver cord has parted. So it retains the properties of attracting matter from the physical world. Therefore, people who died by drowning and asphyxiation have been seen by their relatives many thousands miles away, perhaps for an instant, lifelike in the extreme. So when somebody's drowning, just as they're passing, their vital body, their soul leaves, and relatives 1,000 miles away see them. The inclination or desire to be with their friends from whom they were separated has been in their minds for a long time, perhaps, and being themselves free from the fetters of the body, remember they're drowning or they're suffocating, they are at once borne thither upon the wings of desire. So again, I could go over this book and make probably 100 videos. Rosicrucian. So I am not without some previous knowledge and awareness to these things that I discuss. And I certainly make mistakes on some of this stuff, and I misspeak when I should say 1917, I say 2017, and some people probably pick up on some of my misspeaks, so please pardon and excuse me. It's just the way the brain works and a blunder, and I think the general purpose and point I'm making in these videos is probably being reached by a lot of people. And that is, we need to see the similarities in all this New Age material. And the stuff on YouTube with Planet Nibiru coming, or these new videos I'm watching with David, the heck is his name? And he talks about the, I'll think of it in a second here, hang on. And to refresh my memory there, that would be David Flynn. In one of his videos I'm looking at on my laptop right here. David Flynn, F-L-Y-N-N, Gray, G-R-E-Y, Crop, C-R-O-P, Glyph, G-L-Y-P-H, Decoded. In one of those crop circles over there in Europe, had a picture of the gray alien and a big circle next to the gray alien with computer ones and zeros, ASCII code. And I took a picture of what the message said. It's on my camera here. I'll take a look at it. I got to print it out. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll read it. So here's the gray alien on a crop circle with ASCII code ones and zeros, and the decoding says this: beware of bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. The Seeker's Handbook, the complete guide to spiritual pathfinding. So it says here, false gift and broken promises. It seems to me all this New Age stuff and the love fest and stuff that's in Barbara's books. Much pain, but still time. Believe. Time to believe. There is good out there. We oppose deception, conduit closing. So there you have it on that crop circle with the alien entity looking like a gray alien and a circle beside him with ones and zeros. The message decoded: beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time to believe. There is good out there. We're opposed to deception, conduit closing. You can go look this stuff up. So now with that said, and I think when I start reading some more of this stuff from Barbara's book, it'll probably make more sense, which was the purpose of my little book review. Because without it, I think some of this stuff would have been just a bit bizarre. And again, I'm only doing my top tabs, not my side tabs, or I'd be here for a week. You know me, I put tabs in where I find stuff, and then I highlight it, as you're aware if you've been watching my videos. So I cut to the chase and get to some stuff after I took time and leisure to read it. So page 76. Traditionally, parenting on your planet has to do with a biological process in which two people of opposite gender come together to create life. All right, man and woman gets married and has a couple kids. Traditional reality on planet Earth, but of course we all know that's changing. Now they're promoting the gay agenda, and they're even having TV shows where two gay men or whatever adopt children. However, now I'm back to the book. You are now experimenting with making life in laboratories, so you are challenged to expand and consider that perhaps there are different ways to parent and create life. Channeled information. Again, only reading the highlighted portions. Perhaps you are aware of those who watch over your home and experience it as a place to visit and play with reality. So are they saying that we have ghosts or spirits in our homes watching us, and they live vicariously through us because they can't have their own body? Let's go on. Earth, in terms of time, is quite ancient. There are stories concerning her that have long been buried and hidden away. Sumerian records hold numerous keys to expanding and understanding of your ancient lineage. Well, that book we just saw on Egypt and Zacharias Stitchins and the Pleiadians and all these ancient monuments in South America that's being marketed for the last 100 years. Is this an intentional propaganda campaign to change our paradigm, our perception of reality? Are evil forces at play here? Did a third of the angels get cast out of heaven? Is this the time of their being let loose from hell, and that all the chaos and anarchy is supposed to happen on planet Earth? Back to the book. The records maintain that for eons a cast of celestial characters, there you go, with multiple agendas, graced the stage of Earth. Graced the stage? From what I understand, they did some pretty horrific things. And because of they interbred with human women and created those giants, monsters, that God had to bring about the flood to erase all the life on Earth so it could be restarted and not corrupted. Remember mythology? Half man, half horse, half human body, bottom part is a snake. Mermaids, there's all that. And this ancient Atlantis, if you read that material, apparently when Atlantis was sinking and a lot of those Atlanteans went to Egypt, there was a lot of turmoil because the Egyptians didn't like them creating horrible creatures for sex slaves and personal slaves. And who knows, maybe monsters to be in the arena to fight. Like in the Roman times, they would throw people into the arena with lions or to fight each other. These ancient records recall a time hundreds of thousands of years ago when two ruling brothers, Enki and Enlil, were in charge of Project Earth. That's right out of Zacharias Stitchin's book. Funny when you start reading this stuff. So now you got the Pleiadians channeling through Barbara, talking about Zacharias Stitchin's material. Who got what from whom, and what's the truth, and who copied whom, or whatever. These visitors, called the Anunnaki, we just went over that in these pictures. On the ancient monuments over there, and now you know why they have all that chaos and anarchy and killing all of the Arabs. Are these Anunnaki people coming back and don't want all those people there? Just like when the early colonists came to America and started the 13 colonies, and moved westward and disposed of all of the American Indians at $10 a scalp. They did that with the buffalo too. I don't know if they paid $10, but the evidence you took from the buffalo when you killed the buffalo was the tongue. And you left the whole buffalo to rot on the field, on the plain. They wanted to wipe out the buffalo. I wonder why. These visitors, called the Anunnaki, came to earth from the heavens and played God. They created what they wanted on earth based on their own intentions. Among other things, they came in search of gold. Again, you wonder when you're reading these books from the Pleiadians with Barber channeling these entities, and you're getting this history that's in the Bible. The visiting gods from above, the Anunnaki, came to earth and began to take products from this home to their home. Their purpose was to experiment with life, create humans to dwell on earth. So are they giving credit to the Anunnaki for creating us humans? And then why are the Pleiadians telling us all this? These gods are your ancient parents, having seeded a version of Earth's genetic line with their influence. In actuality, the gods created various experiments employing the genetic material stored here in the library. So again, my theory is on this book, Earth, Pleiadian Keys to the Living Library, is a human being is a library. If you consider a library of CDs or disc, or a big computer with memory with all kinds of different software programs. The DNA in our bodies is phenomenal. I mean, you got the DNA that makes the hair, the eyes, the teeth, the body, the fingernails, the organs, the heart, the blood, hearing. It's just a huge library of some kind of source code, like the different seeds on earth, for spinach leaves, apple trees, buffalo, plants, bugs, fish. An extremely vast genetically coded library. I suppose that would be valuable to anybody if there were other planets and galaxies and solar systems and people wanted to create another Earth-like planet. Where are you going to get the seeds? The DNA genetic software that's microscopic. Every cell in your body has a complete library of the code for your body. Most crucial for you to consider is the concept of the gods as parents. So we know that they don't like Jesus. That's a concern. Abductees have said, it's been recorded if you watch videos on YouTube, that in the middle of the abduction, the person would go, "God, help me, Jesus' name, help me." And the aliens would drop that person like a hot potato. So there you see, it seems to be something to do with exorcism when they say, "In Jesus' name, demon, leave this body," or whatever they say. And then the demon starts speaking in tongues and cursing and screaming, and the priest keeps throwing the holy water on the person, and finally the demon leaves in the name of Jesus. And if you're being abducted and you use the name of Jesus, apparently the aliens will drop you and abandon their pursuit to abduct you. Interesting. Back to the book. Acknowledge that you, as a biological being, have the emotions, feelings, and intuitional knowledge that connect you to the earth. So I'm just saying, these same beings that would abduct you, or were cast out of people, possessing people by exorcists, are these the same type of creatures that are the Pleiadians? Are they the ones talking about all those other books there? The Rosicrucian, The occultic stuff they talk about, the spiritual mediums we just talked about in this book, and many others. Now, these are all the same kind of entities and creatures. I wonder. Anyways, back to the book. The Sumerians understood the visitors from the stars. So the Sumerians would have been those people back then in the Middle East, where Zechariah Stitchin found all those tablets that he wrote all his books about, which I've yet to read his book that I acquired and do videos on it. But as you can see now, the more we pursue this, the more that I pursue this, the more I start seeing the similarities in the text, the material. What comes out of the Pleiadians, or I should say Barber's mouth, while channeling the Pleiadians. Alright, the Sumerian culture, considered to be by most experts, to be the cradle of civilization, flourished about 6,000 years ago in an area called Mesopotamia, located between the ancient waters of the Tigris and Euphrates River in modern-day Iraq and Kuwait. So maybe, I think, they did 9/11 for many reasons. They already had the Patriot Act written so they could enforce controls over the USA people. But they also needed the people to support the invasion of the Middle East. And George Bush famously said, if you're not with us, you're against us. And apparently Obama is following the same plan. I don't know who's caused more wars or activities in the Middle East, Bush or Obama now. And of course Bush and Obama are not the leaders, they are the puppets. There's some forces, the Illuminati, this series, Freemasonry and Satanism, Zionism, the Vatican, Rosicrucians, Hollywood, the Kabbalah, the gangsters, the banksters, the kings and queens, behind the scenes secret societies, maybe incommunicado with the Pleiadians and the spiritual beings in the world. Why they're sacrificing children. Even today, look it up. Videos on YouTube about people confessing to it, telling all. It's hard to believe everybody's a liar. The Sumerian culture was directed by those who came from the stars. The stellar reptilian ancestors. There we go. Freemasonry and Satanism is this series, and Satan is represented as a snake in the Garden of Eden. And it says the Sumerian culture was directed by those who came from the stars, the stellar reptilian ancestors. If this is true, the Pleiadians told Barbara this via channeling. They were establishing a civilization once again, creating one more experiment to look at what could be done with the biological forces on Earth. Get it? Biological forces. All that DNA coding and all the plants and animals and bugs and everything. And people. Fish. Bacteria. Ancient myths and legends, hundreds of thousands of years old, tell of the serpents, dragons, and reptilian visitors from the skies. Again, we're right out of the Bible here. So the more I look into this, and I have to choose a side, as we just read in one of these other books, everybody has to choose a side. And hence they're going to, like the Fox News announcer said, by 2017, people will be all microchipped. Be the only way they'll know who is who. And that's, of course, a big lie. That isn't the purpose. It's to control everyone. And the elites will always be elites, and we, the slave, will always be the slaves. Or, if we're unwanted, we'll be dead. Of course, there's some of that stuff I've been watching that said that some of these galactic aliens like to take the carcasses of the dead humans to space, where they have restaurants where they serve human meat for dinner. You can't make this stuff up. You watch these videos and you hear this stuff, You almost want to put the book down, turn the TV off, and just go have a beer. It's too much. Much later, the special moments were captured by the Sumerians in their famous cylinder seals, devices that recorded selected aspects of reality in pictorial form. I think people have seen those. You can look them up. Zachariah Stitchin supposedly interpreted all that stuff. And some other people. That one book we went on, Serpents and Dragons. And then we went on that other book, The Sirius Star System. And, you know, other books that I've gone over so far support all this stuff. But right now we're inquiring on Barbara Marcinek. 2 books, Earth, Pleiadian Keys to the Living Library and Bringers of the Dawn. And on my website, rickmiracle.com, I have a page with the, if you go to the Books I've Read page, you'll find the Pleiadian books, click it. And I've got a couple of videos there. You can go on YouTube and just type in Pleiadians and you'll see plenty of videos talking so nice about love and what the world is with lots of sex by the Pleiadians and how you should embrace all this. And then there are some videos by people who are exposing the common denominator that it seems to be the serpentine type of alien entities with malevolent intentions towards the New Age and towards the people, bringing about the New Age and the New World Order. That's a whole lot of words there, wasn't it? The gods keep themselves in power by authorizing a few, rather than empowering all. This created a hierarchy of separation which is part of the great misunderstanding that continues to plague you today. Amen to that. What did they say when they passed the Obama health care bill? You can read what's in the bill after we pass it. Then inside the bill, apparently, there's a paragraph that says all USA citizens will be implanted with a Class 2 radio receiver so they can scan you and track you. And right out of the Bible. You can't buy or spend without having your Mark of the Beast 666 in code. People all over your planet, including the Aborigines, Mayan, Incas, natives of North and South America, groups on the European continent and throughout Africa and Asia, all have embraced the idea of dragons or serpents as the creators of life. Remember, the devil deceives, Lucifer deceives, the light bearer deceives, Satan deceives. The Bible, it says, test the spirits. The reptilian rate, or Lizzies, as we affectionately call them. So the Pleiadians called the reptilians Lizzies affectionately. That's a little suspect. Reptilians are an integral part of your ancestral line, reptilians. They are an awesome, ferocious, and gracious collection of consciousness. So I like how they mix these words, ferocious and gracious. For they are many things combined into one. I could just like see, I made a nice little cake for your birthday, and I put a little arsenic in it. Many things combined into one. I guess you wouldn't want to eat that cake. These reptilians are important for you to understand as aspects of existence that connect you to the deep taproot of your own heritage, your past. In order to grow further into understanding yourself as a blossoming entity on the wheel of life, unfolding into the story of 12. 12 is everywhere. 12 astronomy signs, 12 apostles, 12 tribes of Israel. Is an essential that you understand. It is essential that you understand your home, your roots, and your genes. I still think I'll stick with Jesus and the 10 Commandments and God. Although I'm a sinner, I make mistakes. We all do. None of us are perfect. But we try to do better. And believing in Jesus, apparently, is a door to living forever in heaven. But these people don't say that. They want to call their buddies the Lizzies. The reptilians are their buddies, the Lizzies. Understanding that the reptilian energies are creator gods. So their Lizzie's buddies are creator gods. They are master geneticists. That reminds me of Monsanto making all these genetically modified foods, which your body doesn't recognize as food, and attacks it as an enemy, causing tumors and cancer. Not all foods, but there's reports. Go look up Monsanto, which, by the way, equals 666 in a numerology calculator. A equals 6, B equals 12, C equals 18. You just keep adding 6. And if you add up the word Monsanto, you will get 666. Kissinger equals 666. Computer equals 666. Santa Claus is 666. Just think about it. You got a guy in a red suit, sneaks down your chimney, I guess can change shape or be magical, and bring kids candy, celebrating Jesus being born, that they crucified on the cross, on a pagan holiday, when the end of winter and the solstice, when the sun goes all the way to the north and starts to come back, witchcraft holiday around that time. Christmas trees, it's like the obelisk, the phallic symbol, and you put it in, so imagine you have a phallic, the male organ, and then in here, and then they decorate it with lights and everything. A little weird when you think about it. They are master geneticists who assisted the original planners of designing the living library. So are they saying these reptilians wrote all that software code that makes up the DNA? I'm using an analogy to present-day computerized software, CDs, programs. They are an ancient race and are very advanced in creating sentient biological forms. As master geneticists, Lizzies know their trade. They are highly skilled in genetic organization and manipulation. They far surpass many brilliant beings in their ability to genetically adjust life. They appear, and again, I'm only reading, so if it seems like I'm jumping around and missing something, I'm just reading my highlighted stuff. They appear as toys and characters in movies and on television, as stylish depictions in advertisement, lending their name to all who dare remember. So they make little reptilian toys for your kids so everybody gets affectionately attracted to reptilians. Even in Star Trek, they had that one reptilian creature. I'm sure many times on Star Trek. And then, of course, you have Spock with the ears. Looks kind of satanic. And Gene Roddenberry, apparently in one of the videos I watched about the book that was written by an author who interviewed a lot of stars in Hollywood because it's very occultic, Kabbalah, all that stuff, witchcraft, seances, medium, communicating with spiritual beings. And when you go into a meditative state, yoga, and other ways, apparently you can communicate with these spiritual beings. And Gene Roddenberry apparently went into meditative state and got a lot of the storylines for the Star Trek series in the meditative state, communicating with the spiritual beings. And now when I go watch the old Star Trek shows, you can see it. The little energy thing possessing people and all of the stuff that's interdimensional, spiritual. Interesting. The wars were all based on separation from each other to gain power. So all the wars we have are the elites. Maybe part of these alien creatures fighting each other for power, and using we the people as fodder in their wars to die. Is this the way we want to live? Let's say there wasn't going to be any planetary doom or disaster, and we were going to live for thousands of more years as humans. Do we really want to allow these entities, creatures, reptilians, maybe even insectoids, who knows, gray little aliens, Pleiadians, bring about all these wars and murder and mayhem forever? I don't think so. Alright, you are multi-dimensional creatures, and one version of yourselves is this one on earth as human beings. Simultaneously, in another version of reality, you can also be one of these very beings that have influenced you. So they're saying, as a spiritual being, you or me, we're beings in existence at the same time. Me, I could be in existence in 2 or 3 other places. And one of my other beings could be a reptilian? I don't think so. As Pleiadians, we hold a broader view of reality than you currently do. And we are here to share it with you. So I guess one of that broad view of reality would be Miley Cyrus getting twerked on stage, Madonna, Beyonce, Britney, Lady Gaga, and the rest of them doing satanic shows during football halftime shows and Olympic openings, and Neil Patrick Harris getting on stage in his underwear, and then doing a photo shoot with his husband on TV. So it says here, as Pleiadians, we hold a broader view of reality than you currently do, and we are here to share it with you. So I'm just wondering, is it that 1/3 of angels that got kicked out of heaven that is down here trying to recruit some more souls in their battle with God, and they want to bring about the New Age and the New World Order, and more of Neil Patrick Harris getting on stage in his underwear, Miley Cyrus, the young lady, getting twerked, and all the other craziness, stuff on TV, magazines. I was looking at the news on the Yahoo, and on the right hand side, you know how they have those little videos advertising something? I wasn't looking at any porn site or anything else, but there was this girl, I guess playing football or something. Oh no, she was throwing down the flag for 2 race cars to go, and whoever was videoing it videoed her throwing down the flag, bending over, showing with the G-string under her dress, right there while I'm checking the Yahoo News on the advertisement. I looked up, I go, what the heck? Somebody's bringing porn to my computer, and I didn't ask for it. So I went to click it to close it, because it wouldn't go away. It just had her bent over like that. And it had a little icon that says, why did I not want to see it? And the 3 categories was repetitive, inappropriate, or I want to see something else. So I clicked inappropriate. So they're aware, and they're monitoring people, and they know. That's my point here, mind control. They know who will watch it. Oh, and there's another button that says, see more like this. We're being, everybody's being documented who's who. And apparently the government has the red, yellow, and blue dots on people's mailboxes and other things that said you can look it up. And the people in the red are the ones they're going to arrest right away when they do the big revolution, like in the USA, that these books just said, that can't be converted to the Luciferian world. The resistors, the Christians, and other people. Just interesting. They have all that computerized technology to do that, with that girl and the little icons which you can push to click it and make it go away. I mean, I'm not opposed to pretty women or anything else, but my God, I do understand when they're using it intentionally to distract us all. to divert our attention from the reality of what's really going on with the destruction of our planet economically, polluting it, sky spraying, HARP systems, wars, insanity. The new culture of the New Age. That's what all these books are. I'm just trying to interpret it what I read. You can believe what I'm saying, look it up, question it for yourself. Critical thinking is a key. You do not understand that this is a... Sorry, try to read this right. You do not understand that this is one big now. That's what it says here. You do not understand that this is one big now. I'll agree with that. For some of you, the idea of a reptilian heritage carries quite a charge of fear. The only thing I fear is that people will believe this stuff. The deceiver wants you to believe it. All right, moving on. As you can see, I got some highlighted stuff here. Not all the material. Feel your body and imagine your spinal column shakas. Remember, shakas is all part of the New Age stuff. And 12 strands of DNA as a tree of life. That's Rosicrucian, Kabbalah. It's in the Freemasonic books, Morals and Dogma, all this stuff. At the bottom of the tree there is a serpent like taproot connecting you to earth. Imagery will help you get in touch with your reptilian ancestry so you can have a neutral look without labeling anything. That's the new part of the New Age stuff there, Luciferian demonic stuff, is that there is no sin. You can't sin. Doing good is normal, doing evil is normal. It's your duality. That's what they want you to believe. But God gave us the 10 Commandments, and He didn't call them the 10 Suggestions. And Jesus said, whoever believes in me gets saved. Anyways, they're telling you here that you're God. Now, I want you to listen to this closely because I couldn't believe it when I read it. Page 82. Visualize the serpent energy climbing your tree, rising up your body, electrifying you. Clues and indications of reptilian ancestry abound. Carved and formed in stone, they can be seen as symbols at numerous sacred sites and at places along the great ley lines on earth. Serpent, dragon, and reptilian myths and legends lie at the core of intimate understandings and principled teachings of almost every indigenous culture. Spit the word out. Indigenous. Sometimes the ancient reptiles that your myths call dragons hoarded crystals. So the dragons were hoarding crystals. Crystals are senders and receivers of information. Well, I know that you have on your pineal gland something that looks like a little tiny pine cone about the size of your thumbnail, right here between the two lobes of your brain, that looks like a little pine cone full of water and little crystals. And when you pray and all that, you're supposed to have spiritual communication. I believe that. We are spiritual beings, after all, in these biological bodies. Thank you, God. We get this opportunity to live on earth, and a lot of these spiritual beings, from my investigation, are jealous of that fact. And it's why they try to possess other people's bodies. And with some of the technologies, apparently can, during satanic rituals, kill a human, and when the spirit leaves the body, there's another spiritual being standing by to re-enter that body. So they can steal bodies. They prefer that to cloning, because apparently a cloned body, which was born without a spirit, and then the spiritual being enters it, seems to have some kind of serious health problems or longevity problems. It doesn't seem to to grow as normal as it should and be as healthy as it should, according to what I studied. The vitality of Earth is waiting to be discovered by you. What the spiritual beings are channeling through Barbara, calling themselves the Pleiadians. She can provide you with a greater abundance in life if you can understand who she is. I saw a video with that David guy, I just forgot his name again. You need to go watch these videos, but David Flynn, F-L-Y-N-N. Why can't I remember his... Go see his videos. But one of the things he talked about in his videos was fascinating. Washington, D.C. is the District of Columbia. Remember, these people are into Mother Earth Goddess, Columbia. And the District of Columbia is not a state. It's a district of its own, Columbia. And right to the north of it is Maryland, Maryland. And right to the south of it is Virginia, Virgin. So Virginia, Virgin, Columbia, and Mary. Look it up on a map. It's a little spooky. Go watch some David Flynn YouTube videos, and you will yourself will discover this. The vitality of Earth is waiting to be discovered by you. She can provide you with a greater abundance in life if you can understand who she is. She can be thought of as the Mother Goddess. Get it? Virginia, Virgin. District of Columbia, Columbia. And Maryland is for Mary. As an aspect of existence that provides, nurtures, feeds, and nestles you. Remember, the Freemasons designed Washington, D.C., established the USA, all in cahoots with the Europeans. Moving on, without the cooperation of Earth, there are many things you cannot have. Unpredictable weather patterns have become the norm. Well, it seems they have become the norm since they have been sky spraying our skies with chemicals. Go look up sky spraying, chemtrails. 2 videos. What in the world are they spraying? Why in the world are they spraying? HARP systems all over the country, microwave transmitters that apparently can enable them to do weather warfare. So that's not in this book. And when they do press releases and talk about global warming, they neglect to say that since 1966 they've been running weather control programs and spraying stuff in the sky and microwave transmitters and everything, which was supposed to cause unpredictable weather patterns have become the norm. Flash floods and surprising events appeared out of nowhere. So they're bringing about this new age and all this calamities and catastrophes and disasters to bring about this reptilian, satanic, new age, new world society where everybody gets microchipped. Seems to be the reality of it. As a human, a reoccurring theme throughout the events of your life is your sense of irresponsibility and victimhood. They're assuming that people are so gullible that they'll buy the fact that they have a sense of irresponsibility and victimhood. And I don't think all of us are zombies or irresponsible or victims. Of course, they're trying to bring about a communist society, a strict socialism with microchipping people. And we know they like to sacrifice human beings on all kinds of other gruesome activities, as well as pedophilia. Even over in Europe, the high-up people in society, the leaders of England, were caught in the pedophilia investigation. And in the newspaper, they said they had to cancel the investigation because of national security reasons. It went too high up. Are the kings and queens into pedophilia? Apparently so, and this one guy there was supplying all these elites with all these little children. This is part of your serpent religion. Make no mistake about it. Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm not trying to be a preacher here, I'm just reporting what I discover. Earth is alive and you must take care of her and get along as a family. And again, they blame us people for polluting things. And who has polluted things throughout history? The people who own the factories. And who owned all the factories? Zionism, Jewish folks? And not all Jewish folks are bad. But, even the 3 richest billionaires in Russia are all Jewish. All over the world, 99% of all the big corporations are all owned by Jewish people. This is common stuff here. And not all Jewish people. There are many Jewish people fighting the Zionist Jew, the Kabbalah Jews, the ones who are worshiping Lucifer, the Reformed Jews who turned away from God, or the Jews that are not Jews at all, as described in the book of Revelations in the Bible. Jews who call themselves Jews but are not. You can look that up. But many Jews have written books like Marvin Adelman, that we went over a couple of his books in my videos, detailing these Reformed, turned away from God Jewish folks, Frankists, Sabbatins, etc., into magic, Kabbalah, sacrificing children. So if you're evil enough, I suppose you could own the whole planet, because if you really wanted to get some guy's company, you could just have him killed, or do something like voodoo, or other devious, hire a hitman. It's easy to get rich if you're evil. You can kill the opposition. Have them killed. So if you look up Zionism and images on Yahoo search, you will see a Yahoo image website with all the good Jews protesting the Zionist Jews. They have the big posters, and they got some Jews hugging the president of Iran. Many Jews live in Iran, are happy in Iran. Decent Jews. Not the Zionist Jews. And it's not just Jews. Many of the so-called Christians and other religions of the world have joined these Illuminati, Freemasonic, and not the low levels of the Freemasons. Not everybody's uncle who's a Freemason is in on the scam or the New World Order, New Age propaganda. But they are part of the army, and they do what they're told, maybe not knowing what they're doing. Just saying, we do have seemingly a cult that follows these reptilian creatures, I guess, who can contact people through seances and other spiritual communications, and appear and manifest and draw upon the atoms of the surroundings, and draw it from people till you can see them and hear them. Are these the aliens and the UFO craft we see? Are they manifestations of these spiritual beings who are trying to repossess Earth and be here, jealous of us humans living here, and have been using us humans as fodder for their wars and their slavery, money, and personal gruesome sexual appetites? That's a lot of stuff to think about. All right, here we go. Speak with cells of your being. Pull light through you. That's what they're telling you to do. And say to Earth, it is my intention and my pleasure to experience you to the fullest of my capacity in this lifetime. I am asking you, great Earth, to help and assist me in locating a place of comfort, joy, safety, and adventure. Wow, that sounds nice. So you're reading a New Age book like this, and it's telling you to think like that. Earth knows who you are. Therefore, it is a good idea to speak to her and acknowledge her. Earth knows who you are. Many of you are very disturbed by the masses of people that continue to choose to kill and go to war. Well, the world is run by the Masonic, Illuminati, secret organizations who are puppet mastering our presidents. And they're the ones who are controlling the 911 situations and other things to cause all the wars. So the very people who are promoting this New Age are the ones causing all the wars. And they're saying to anybody who reads this, many of you are very disturbed by the masses of people that continue to choose to kill and go to war. We, the masses of people, do not choose to kill and go to war. We get manipulated. Presidents lie. Woodrow Wilson, Roosevelt. It's a deception. Look up some history. Read some books. You'll find out. There is a great cleansing that is occurring. And you cannot stop it. That's what it says here on page 85. It is a traumatic time because it seems as if the system that represents family and civilization are falling apart. It's not falling apart. They're using propaganda, schemes, lies, movies, TV programs, and everything else they can to destroy it. I get so irate when I read this stuff that I know that they're lying. It's not falling apart on its own. They put Neil Patrick Harris on that stage during the Oscars in his underwear. They put Miley up there being twerked by that man. Remember, she was an icon to all those young people when she was little. All those young kids watched her, sitting in front of the TV. And then when she got older, she turns over to the dark side. And so what do you think that does to all those people who idolized her as children? Mind control. Okay, you have in your world numerous systems that support taking care of others. Caretaking is a noble process indeed. Often, though, wait a minute, often, though, if you continue to catch fish for others, they become dependent on your fishing. It is best to teach others how to fish for themselves and how to garden and grow food. Well, there's a warning right there. They're beguiling everybody right now. Like Pinocchio being beguiled to that fantasy island and then being enslaved. The Ferris wheels, the cotton candy, the music. Come on, Pinocchio, let's go to the island. But right here, they're exposing themselves. It says, caretaking is a noble process indeed. Socialism, welfare, food stamps, shipping all the jobs to China. Often, though, page 85, if you continue to catch fish for others, they will become dependent on your fishing. Well, the government right now has made everybody, 100 million people on food stamps and welfare or Social Security or something of this kind, while that a dozen times since 1913, they crashed the market on purpose so they could rake in all the money, and people would sell their property for pennies on the dollar, and the elitists would take all that money and continue their operation towards a new world order, buying up mines and factories in countries, and having presidents assassinated who they couldn't convince to do their bidding. You just have to read between the lies. Page 90. We'll get ready to wrap this up. An hour and a half gets to be a long time for a video. The goddess is of such consciousness that she allows all things. Sorry about that. When the phone rings, I have to answer it. I have to earn a living like everybody else. Anyways, page 90. The goddess is of such consciousness that she allows all things. That sounds like Aleister Crowley. You can do anything. The evilest man alive bragged about killing children. There will be a return and an awakening to Mother Goddess energy. You will find in this decade that all of your religions are based on a false idea. We know that the Freemasons in those New Age books I showed you were definitely against Jesus and Christianity. We know that they're attacking the Middle East and trying to wipe out all the Muslims and other religions. So we in the Pleiades have discovered the root cause of our misuse of energy. Whoa! We in the Pleiades have discovered the root cause of our misuse of energy. So they're saying they misuse energy. We have not honored the mother. We have done things to gain the attention of the mother, yet we have not valued the mother's creation, the mother's gift. Your planet must learn who the goddess is as a creator. You must. Understanding the dark side of the goddess is part of exploring her energy because the goddess did something to lose her power. It is in the cells of your being because all of you, man and woman alike, have the goddess within you. The goddess is going to be birthed through you, whether you are male or female. The goddess energy was not like your Western world. To her, sex was not shameful. The goddess loves sex. Now, you know about the New Age and the Rainbow Group and the gay agenda and all that. It's right out of the New Age, Pleiadian spiritual entities being channeled to all these people who are talking to spirits or gods or aliens, whoever. The goddess loves sex. Sex, of course, is your natural heritage. However, like all things, there was a misuse of sexual energy. There came a time within the goddess realm when there was a tremendous abuse of the male vibration. Page 91, I'm almost through here with this video. After a while, within the realm of the goddess, man became nothing more than a stud service. After a while, within the realm of the goddess, so I guess when the goddess did rule, men became nothing more than a stud service. Women got so lost in the goddess power that men were not considered equal. Many men were killed after one-time fertility rituals. There's witchcraft for you. Which representatives of the local goddess, castration and other sacrifices were performed. Makes you wonder what this new age that's coming about right now, because so many people are being fools. You think they're going to love that? Alright, moving on. Page 102. Again, just my top tabs here. There is only one appropriate way for a man to take into himself the power of blood. You're not going to believe what I'm going to say next. And that is for a woman to gift him with her blood, to share her own elixir. So when a woman has that time of month, she's supposed to gather up some of that blood and give it to a man. There are many ways this can be done. For a man to eat fruits and vegetables grown with menstrual blood is one obvious way. So they want to take the menstrual blood and spread it around the garden. And then if you eat the fruits and vegetables, you will be drinking of the blood of the woman. Also, a man may be marked on the back of his neck or the soles of his feet with menstrual blood. We're talking witchcraft here. His body will absorb the knowledge contained within it. Men are going to need women's blood, and women are going to remember the goddess inside themselves and embody the goddess principle. This principle will teach you how to create a balance on the planet. Having sex when the woman has the menstrual time of month is in a bonded relationship is a very powerful way of sharing blood. So when it's her time of month, you should have sex, apparently. This is a very ancient ritual. We do not advise any random sexual exploits to share menses blood. It is a sacred and powerful act. Witchcraft, in my opinion. Also, Rosicrucian, occultic, Kabbalah, and the rest of these people, and their secret satanic rituals like the Bohemian Grove and stuff they do in the Masonic lodges. I don't even want to think what the king and queens do in their situations of all their blue blood satanic rituals. I've heard some of it, seen some of the videos, and it is horrible, horrific, despicable, insane. Why were you steered away from the blood mysteries for eons? Perhaps because it would open doors of knowledge that the gods did not want you to have. Blood contains the archives of personal, planetary, and celestial experience. When blood is experienced in sexual union, you are flooded with waves of knowledge, much of it beyond your present ability to understand and integrate. The male counterpart of menses is, of course, sperm. Sperm, like computer chips, carries the code of intelligence for the evolution of consciousness. Women, if you're going to have sex during menses, you must be ready to share your deepest secret of who you are with your partner. You need to be ready to have your partner take on and share your power. It is the oldest mystery. Remember, the Freemasonic lodges, Illuminati, and all those groups, it's all about the mystery secrets. In the Sumerian stories, the gods Enlil and Enki disputed with each other over the treatment and conditions of the subjects of humans. The ruler Enki championed the humans and through the female gifted the race with sexual knowledge. The ruler Enlil strictly forbade sexual knowledge to the humans for fear it would make them equal to the gods. These concepts and invisible cellular root assumptions refer to the modern-day versions of the creation story. Adam and Eve, the serpent in the Garden of Eden. Sexual knowledge was Enki's gift, while Enlil wanted to manipulate the separation of humans to keep them from knowing the acts of the gods. So that's right out of Adam and Eve, the serpent in the Garden of Eden. In women, blood is the vibration color red. In men, sperm is the color of the white. Mixed together, blood and sperm is another elixir. It has been the worst heresy to even think that men would touch women who were menstruating, let alone have sex with them, let alone mix semen with their blood, let alone taste it. Yet far back in ancient times, when the goddess energy was understood and when women were revered, this mixture was considered the drink of immortality for men. Men understood that when they drank menstrual blood, then mixed their sperm with it, they became enlivened and invigorated. It was one of the keys to immortality. These gods, we call them gods loosely, and perhaps godlings or godlets would be a better term, became so enamored of the energy of the goddess that they wanted to ingest the power of the combination of semen and the woman's blood. In the myth of the Garden of Eden, the female vibration was given the name Eve. The Bible relates to the story of the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. The tree of knowledge allows you to be informed. Sexual ability and practice equate to the tree of knowledge, the tree that humans were forbidden to eat from. They were forbidden to participate as well with the tree of life. To have sex with a woman when she was on her blood time is one of the highest vibrations because it can go through doorways into other realms. To share the blood is to take on the higher consciousness. I think I said enough, but let me just say this. We'll end where we started. In this book, Rosicrucians, same occultic ceremonies, religions, information that's in the Morals and Dogma, Kabbalah, witchcraft, astrology, Zionism, secrets of the Vatican, all the different secret societies. Some of the same stuff that was described during the Atlantean times. The making of horrific creatures, mixing of the DNA, like Barbara's discussion there of the genetic library on Earth. The message of the Sphinx and the tablets that Zechariah Stitchens in Mesopotamia and Samaria interpreted with the stories that were being told, which is the pagan religion where Moses helped the Jews leave Egypt when they were slaves, remember? And then the pharaohs, two magicians, threw down their canes and two snakes, and Moses threw down his one cane, which turned into a big snake, and ate the pharaoh's two snakes, if you've seen the movie. Handbook to Higher Consciousness. The grand chess game. The politicians, all the people that are controlling the presidents. There's a big scheme afoot. The Patriot Act. The FEMA camps they're building. The sky spraying. The HARP systems. The hollow point bullets, the military and the police. The SWAT vehicles being delivered to police departments everywhere. The martial law exercises by police dressed as military, army people with vehicles and weapons and machine guns going door to door in cities across the USA right now. March, April 2015. It's pretty powerful stuff. The higher coming insurrection. I got to read all these books. The Mask of the Illuminati. Astral Voyages. My point with all these books are, these are only 10 here of hundreds I have. The Seeker's Handbook. I got to read this. It's supposed to be a good book. By John Lash. Look at his videos on YouTube. You'll get the gist of this stuff. The Rosicrucian Enlightenment. Get it? Enlightenment, the light bearer, illuminated, illumined, initiated. The Cosmic Serpent. Astrology, just the space age science. So my point is, they've published thousands of books. They got all these New Age groups all over the country, the world. New Age gift shops, posters, programs on TVs, cartoons, little dinosaurs, snakes, reptilians, all kinds of crazy things. TV shows, whereas Gene Roddenberry got the scripts while in meditation from the other side to write the Star Trek series. Look at the symbols during those shows. Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars. It's endless. Anyways, that's my story. I hope I've helped enlighten you in this book review of this book I read, which I'm not through, so maybe I'll make into one more part 3 of Barbara's book. It takes me a few days to ponder and read and consider what I want to say. So thank you. Rick Miracle reporting.